Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen. Your boy D-Generation Wayne, giving you your Eliminator Challenge prognostications for Week 8. Last week did very well. I picked Kansas City, even though it was a nail biter. They won over the Houston Texans by a score of 17-16. The other teams that I did give you on last week all also won. The Packers won, the Falcons won, and the Carolina Panthers won. So if you pick one of those teams, you survive and advance another week. Now we're going to get into this week's matchup, starting with tomorrow night. We have the Carolina Panthers taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. As you know in the rules of Eliminator that I like to give you, do not pick the home team. I take that back. Stick with the home team, but stay away from division games. But since Tampa Bay is so bad, and if you haven't used Carolina, this would be a good time to use them. Because Cam Newton is playing a lot better in the last 2 weeks. Now, granted, it has been against the Rams and the Vikings. So take it for what it's worth. But it seems like, as a lot of people have said, he has turned the corner. He has started to become more of a game manager, which is not a bad thing. But at the same time, they still need to be Cam Newton has to become Superman as he was advertised. So even though I don't like picking against the home team in an eliminator, this might be a good time to use Carolina if you haven't used them already. Now, this is the one I'm probably going to use because, yes, it's against all the rules, but this is a special circumstance. Sunday's game, you got the San Francisco 49ers against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The game is in London, so it's a home game for the 49ers. Go with the 49ers. That's my pick for this week. Go with the 49ers. The Jaguars, oh boy, I feel sorry for London, man. I'm just, wow. You get Jacksonville, Oakland, and Atlanta. Atlanta's not so bad, but you get Oakland and Jacksonville as your home games. That's why you don't want NFL football. Stick with your English Premier League, the best football in the world. Next game up, Cleveland and Kansas City. Kansas City I've already used, but they're playing Cleveland, who's going on their third quarterback. Jason Campbell, former Redskin, former Raider, former, I don't know how many teams he's been with, but if you didn't use Kansas City last week, I would definitely say use him this week because you should get this win. It shouldn't be as close or a nail biter as last week, but this is why they say that's why they play the game. So if you haven't used Kansas City this week, go with Kansas City. It's not a bad time to use them if you haven't used them yet. Going on to the next game, we have the Miami Dolphins taking on the suddenly struggling New England Patriots. And I like to smile when I say suddenly struggling because most of us in Baltimore can't stand the Patriots. So, but they're 5-2. They did get Gronk back, but they lost to the Jets. If you want to use the Patriots this week in your eliminator pool, this would be another team I would recommend. Miami is struggling. They started out like 3-0. Now they've like 3-4 or something like that. And really, to be honest, this is make or break week for Ryan Tannehill because the schedule gets a lot harder for Miami because they have to still go to Buffalo. They still have the Jets to face, and they're not playing well. So even though I do say do not use division games because you don't know what you really is unexpected because you got two teams that don't like each other and it's a big rivalry, I think if you want to use the Patriots this week, go for it. I'm not using them, but I think it'd be safe to say the Patriots will win this game. Now, here's another game that should be on my interesting to watch list. The New Orleans Saints coming off a bye week against Buffalo. At home. The Saints are at home coming off a bye week. If you haven't used the Saints, this might be a good time to use them this week. The Saints, right now under Sean Payton, they're back, they're better, and they're rested. So you have two, if you really want two strong eliminator picks for this week, you have the 49ers against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the game is in London, so it'll probably be a home game for the 49ers. And right now, the Saints look like a pretty good, strong eliminator play. So if you haven't used the 49ers or the Saints, this might be the best week to use either team. Next game on tap, skip it, Cowboys, Lions. Dallas coming off a big win in Philly, 17-3 over the Eagles. The Lions coming off a heartbreaking loss to the suddenly 5-2 Cincinnati Bengals. They're our division rivals. So Detroit did not help us out last week, even though we couldn't take care of our own business. Skip that game. Just skip it. Lions, you're just not sure you're going to get each week. You know they're going to put up points, but they're going to give up a lot too. And Tony Romo has been playing very well, but you're still waiting for him to throw that late game interception because that's what Tony Romo is. Now, going on to the next game, we have the G-Men. Congratulations. You beat the Minnesota Vikings to go 1-6. To go against the Eagles Eagles. Skip. Division game. Skip it. Just flat out skip it. Now here's a good rivalry game, even though it hasn't been a rivalry in kind of years. The Steelers and the Raiders. Going back old school when they just beat each other up in the playoffs, and Lynn Swann getting crushed over the middle, and Terry Bradshaw getting beat up, and Ken Stabler throwing touchdown passes. Well, that era's gone. Steelers and the Raiders, skip it. Just the Steelers right now are 2-4, and they aren't dangerous 2-4 because they look like they're starting to figure things out. And you definitely do not want to face a team that's starting to figure things out, and which is 2.5 back in the division. Now, granted, Cincinnati's 5-2. They haven't had their bye week yet. It's coming. Not this week, but it's coming. Going into the next one, we have the Jets and the Bengals. Now, I'll tell you, if you had said this game early in the season, you probably would use Cincinnati now. I wouldn't use Cincinnati now. The Jets are playing a lot better. They're a game back of first place. They're 4-3, so flat out skip it. Just skip it. Avoid this game at all costs. Do not use it as your eliminator. Now, the next one we have is Atlanta Falcons and the Arizona Cardinals. The battle of the birds, so to speak. Skip it. Arizona, even though they got Carson Palmer back, not really playing well. Atlanta, their season's on the line. So they're a desperate team. They don't have Roddy Wright. Julio Jones out for the year. Steven Jackson, he's killing my fantasy team because I've had him for he's on 2 of my teams. He's killing me in fantasy. Right now, I would just skip on this game. If the Cardinals, I wouldn't even use them right now as a play in Eliminator unless you want to survive an advanced week. Next game we got is the Redskins and the Broncos. The Redskins with probably a season-saving win against the Bears, 45-41 at FedEx Field. The Broncos playing in the Andrew Luck Peyton Manning Bowl and last week on Sunday Night Football. Final score 39-33. Andrew Luck outplayed Peyton, even though both of them threw over for 300. I think Peyton threw for 378, and they said that was an off game. A lot of quarterbacks would love to throw for 378 and have an off day. Plus 3 touchdowns, but 1 crucial interception. The Broncos get back on track. Most of you have probably played the Broncos already, so if you haven't played them, I wouldn't use them this week because the Redskins right now are getting ready to go back to that mode they went when they won 7 in a row and won the division. They're starting to play the football that got them RG3 and Alfred Morris and please Brandon Merriweather. Probably be suspended for this game, probably for his own good. Skip it. Broncos should win. Redskins will make it close, but the Broncos should win. And your Sunday night game is Green Bay and Minnesota. Now, usually in the rules I say do not go division. But Green Bay right now and with the Vikings is in total disarray. They really if you stayed up to watch the Monday night game, first of all, you need to check yourself. Second of all, I commend you because probably after third quarter, everybody was just turning the game off. absolutely the most brutal football of the year. The Vikings right now aren't doing too well. Green Bay, if you want to use them as your eliminator, this could be a good week to use them, even though they're on the road. Green Bay should win this game, but it's a division game. So pick at your own risk. And the final game coming up is Monday Night Football. The Seattle Seahawks on an 11-day break against the St. Louis Rams, who lost Sam Bradford for the year. I've already used Seattle, but if you haven't used them this week, we got a lot of division games this week, but you got a good, maybe the best team in football, Seattle, against a Rams club who just lost Sam Bradford for the year. And if you want to use Seattle now, even though it's against the rules, I would kind of use them because I think they will win this game comfortably. They won't blow them out the building, but they'll win comfortably. So there you have it. Now, my strong picks for the week, I will definitely go with the 49ers over the Jaguars. I think that's almost a gimme. My other good picks, if you want to use this week, are the Saints in your pool against the Bills. I think the Saints will win comfortably. My third one, trying to stick with home teams, is not really any good. If you haven't played the Chiefs, I think you should definitely go with the Chiefs this week. And the fourth one, I'm going to go against my grain, but the Packers, if you haven't used them, take out the Vikings. So the strong four for this week, I'm going with the 49ers. The game's in London, so it's not a home game. The Saints, the Packers, and the Seahawks, if you haven't used them already. As always, put God first. I love you. See you for week 9. Survive and advance. Until next time, peace.